And in the middle of me running, I slipped and I fell really badly and I bruised my knee. My first date was confusing. I had just joined my new school, my ICSE school, and I met this guy. We became friends and we used to talk all the time, but over text. And un zamane mein, we didn't have unlimited SMS. We did not have WhatsApp. So we had to count the number of messages we had to send. Otherwise, your phone bill would go crazy and your parents would find out. I think it was 100 messages per month that you had to be very, very careful about. Kaun sa message bhej rahe ho? So every message read like an essay, because you were trying to fit everything in. We saw each other in school, but we mostly talked on text at home. Very interesting relationship. He was my 7th grade boyfriend. And a couple months into the relationship, we decided to go on an actual date. We were part of the middle school and there was a senior school, which was classes 8 through 12. And there was a performance, there was a concert at the senior school that you could go to. I actually was also performing at that same concert. So we decided that we want to go together to this. It was the first time we were meeting up properly outside of school, but it was still in school. Brilliant place to have a date, according to me. It was in the evening. We were not wearing school uniforms, so we felt very, very cool. I'm pretty sure that I was wearing a black pants, a black tank top with handprints all over it, and this like electric blue thing sticking out. My mom dressed me, and she thought she's dressing me for this concert. Little did she know she's also dressing me for my first date. I performed everything. Then we hung out together at the concert. And we had friends who were older than us, some of our friends or their friends' older siblings, and of course they saw us together, so they're like, oh, is there something going on? Whatever. And we stood close to the speakers. Terrible idea. We're trying to have a conversation and you just hear it super loud in your ears. Again, we're so used to talking over text at this point, right? We're great writers, but in person, quite shy, awkward with each other. We reached out for each other's hands, and in that exact moment, one of my really good friends, older brothers, walks in and grabs us both, and he's like, hey, my buddies, what's going on? So what was meant to be a romantic moment got ruined by this person, and then we kind of hung out by his side the whole evening. So we're like giving each other glances, do we sneak off, hang out? But in his mind, he was like, my baby friends, and I'm just gonna keep them entertained the whole evening. Yeah, I didn't have too many expectations, but I definitely did not expect for this other person to mini compliment us. At the end of it, we decide to go back and maybe go on another date at some point. Who knows if we'd actually held hands? But it actually never happened. We were very, very, very happy with our textual relationship. We used to call each other WBFFF, which stood for World's Best Friends and Family Forever. Made no sense. But we used to call each other WBFF, UBFF, Universe's Best Friends Forever. I remember the first time we sent each other a kiss emoji, it felt so scandalous. Because we're like, oh my god, we're not sending smiley faces anymore. We're sending the colon and the asterisk. So we sent each other kiss face emojis. And I used to wait so impatiently for his texts every time I would come home. And at this point, both of us had those dabba phones, right? So if you to text, it also took a while because you had to be like, you had to press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to create the text. So if you're watching this and if you have grown up with just smartphones, please, you don't know what that situation's like. Let me know in the comments below if you grew up with a dabba phone or if you had a smartphone, so we know what the situation is with our community. One evening, we decided that we would have a text date where we would spend the whole 100 rupees that we had for the month. I was so excited. I'd come home from school, I'd come home from tuition and classes as well, and I remember hearing a ping on my phone and I ran to my room. And I was talking to my parents, right? And they were like, why is she running? And in the middle of me running, I slipped and I fell really badly. And I bruised my knee, which actually, if you see, right here, that's the bruise from falling. In anticipation of my text date. I remember icing my knee, sitting there like this, and texting, being like, hey, how's life? I'm like, nothing, all great. How's your life? And it was just questions back and forth. We both had younger siblings, so we were just like talking about our younger siblings. What do you talk about on text at that age, right? How was school? Fine. How's homework? Fine. But we're in the same class, so we knew all of those things already. We also had SSBFF, Solar System Best Friend Forever, because we were so cool. Yeah, it was, we used up the whole, month quota in that one day, and we kept texting a lot. So we kept our relationship going for many months. It was all over text. And the cool thing, honestly, was we got to learn a lot about each other. It's not like we wouldn't talk at all in school. We would, but it wasn't like we were the couple in school. You know, people knew that there was something going on, but we weren't always hanging out with each other, and we weren't, you know, eating our break together and all of that. We were just like, it was vibes. At the time, my perspective of what a date was you do something that's outside of school and that your parents probably wouldn't approve of. Not that that meant anything, but like my parents probably wouldn't approve of me like touching his pinky. You know what I mean? At the age of 12. We got to know a lot of details about each other, and he got to know, for example, that my favorite color at the time was blurple. I could not choose between blue and purple, so I liked blurple. I knew a lot of things about what he liked as well. He was really into music. We were on a bus on a school trip. We happened to sit next to each other, and we decided to, like, you know, those splitters? So we'd put earphones in one, earphones in the other, and we would sit and we'd like vibe to music sitting there on the bus with our splitters. We're dating for at least 8 months, 9 months. And then from the transition between 7th to 8th grade, we go on a school camp. And if you've seen my previous video about my first love, you will know that I started liking / fell in love with someone else on that camp. And in that moment, I forgot all about my 7th grade, you know, texting boyfriend, everything. And then I got down on the mountain and I see him and I'm like, oh shit. Not that I'd done anything, I just decided, I saw that I had butterflies and feelings, right? Damn it. I need to tell him that I don't like him anymore. I decided that the best way to tell him that I don't like him was not to text him, which we'd been doing every day, and not to tell him in person, because why would you? I sent an intermediary. I sent one of my friends to tell him that I don't like him. I sent this friend of mine, who we will call Banana. I sent Banana to tell SSBFF, hey, just tell him that I don't think I like him anymore because, you know, we're in a new class and I'm just new to the school, so I want to make more friends. You know, I gave him this whole thing to say. Goes to him and he says, bro, it's over. We had broken up about 3 days before Valentine's Day. SSBFF goes to Banana the next day and says, I know it's over, man, but I really need you to give her something from me. He's like, okay. He had scoured all of Bombay to find a pack of glitter pens, which finally had the shade Blurple, and he said that he wanted me to still have it. Just tell her I will always remember Blurple is her favorite color. I had actually planned a gift for him too, but the problem was the thing that I actually wanted to give him was this like one of those small Etch-a-Sketch game things, but my mom had thought that it was, she's like, oh, I'm just giving it to your cousin. Then in one of our bathrooms, we had a bowl which was just filled with pebbles. Some of the pebbles were actually little 3D hearts. So I decided that I would steal a couple of those hearts, and I took them to school the next day. I gave it to Banana and I was like, go tell SSBFF that he will still always have a piece of my heart. So yeah, it was very, very special. My first boyfriend. I guess my advice now for anybody who's asking someone on a date would be, it doesn't always have to be a male partner to another. It can be anyone can ask anybody on a date. The second is I think you should make it explicit, because otherwise the lines get really blurry. Like, is this a date? Is this not? You know, and it doesn't have to be like, oh my god, I want to date you to propose you for marriage. It should just be, hey, would you like to go out sometime on a date? And that's it, right? Take yourself on a date. You never try it to try it. Like the same effort in which you would put into creating an experience for somebody, whatever it might be, go do that. Who says you can't go to a cafe alone? Who says you can't go to dinner alone? Who says you can't take a walk down a beach alone? Go take yourself on a date, and you might love yourself a little more. I have definitely made several references to my first love video in this, so if you have not checked that out, please go check it out from last week.